Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, a brand new comic book came out from DC Comic Books, and it is by it was scripted by J.M. DeMatteis and Keith Giffen. Keith Giffen and Jim Lee did the story, so they did the concept work, and then the art was by Howard Porter. So I just want to talk about this comic book. I'm a huge comic book fan. I love just rolling into my comic book shop on a Wednesday, and I actually don't have a pull box, and I really suggest that's how people should buy comic books. Don't have a pull box. Just roll in on a Wednesday and pick up what's there, and and it's just a lot of fun. And this was a great find. So Jim Lee did the cover. And this is Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, and it's a brand new comic book that's starting. So most likely you can get it on your shelves right now, and it's really a wonderful, wonderful book. I was really excited to read it. It was fantastic. The art was really solid. Howard Porter's style is very similar to Jim Lee's style, although unique, but just a solid art platform for this book all around. As far as how it was written, it's a great concept. So you have the Scooby Gang, everybody's there. You have Fred and Velma and Daphne and, of course, Scooby-Doo. But that is the only similarities. From there, it's completely different. So one of the things is, what happens from there is you have Scooby and, so essentially Velma is a scientist, and she's working at this, sorry, I'll stop right there. Spoilers. This is filled with spoilers, and so sorry. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, run out and buy the comic. But if you'd like to hear spoilers, just stay. I'm going to tell you all about it. All right. So what happens is Velma is a scientist, and she works for the government, and so which is really fascinating. And she's been working with this group who has been essentially putting out a virus all over the earth to try to change humanity's DNA and help us to be ready for some of the things that are coming. And Scooby, and so Shaggy is just a dog trainer at the same facility, and Scooby is a smart animal military hybrid experiment, right? Daphne is a failed CNN reporter who now has a super low rent video show, and Fred is her cameraman. So everybody's there. So what's the same? The characters are the same. The color patterns are the same. Vilma's still wearing orange, orange and red. And then everything else is different, and which is really kind of exciting, and a complete re-envisioning of the Scooby Gang. And I am such a huge fan of Scooby-Doo that I like. One, I love the original show, animated show, and I've really enjoyed a lot of. There was recently a very great renew envisioning, which is on Netflix, of the Scooby Gang, and this is a fantastic new reimagining of the Scooby Gang, and I'm very excited about this comic for a lot of reasons. So one, mystery solving teens. I like looking at the stuff that I enjoy and say, what is this? So Scooby-Doo Gang are mystery solving teens. They are the archetypical mystery solving teens. I think there's been a lot of mystery solving teen groups that have been spawned since they were so popular and did so well. Scooby, he's just such a lovable mutt, and his relationship with Shaggy, and the place that Velma has in there, and Daphne and Fred, and they're always kind of circling each other for being in together, and all those same elements, all those same beats are here, but basically none of them are together. They don't know each other at the beginning of the comic book, and literally the apocalypse is starting, and Velma's saying, "Hey, listen, everything's about to go down. There's going to be viruses all over the world," and she's giving the story to Daphne. And Fred is like, "What's happening here?" And he's all alarmed. And it's just, it's like a rocket ship from the gate. It's quick. The storyline is really awesome. It's just a fantastic new comic. Now that's all great, but I'm even more excited about it than that. And why am I excited? And the reason why is, oh my goodness, does DC need some wins, man? DC is a great comic book company. They have the mega star in comic books. They have, Batman. He is the rock solid #1 comic hero in all of comic history. So, but that's it. Like, it seems like their win stops there, and they've just struggled with Marvel. And one of the things that was really frustrating recently, I was a little sad for DC. DC Rebirth just kicked off, and at the same time, one comic book from Marvel, Captain America #1, came out, and all Marvel had to do was say, hey, Captain America is a Hydra agent. And it took months of work from DC and DC's Rebirth product and just flushed it down the toilet. No one cared. DC Rebirth, an entire new launch of a whole number of new comic books. And everybody's like, so what? Basically Marvel just itched its nose, and we all need to run over there and cover that, And so I was like, wow, that's just so sad. But DC comic books, Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. They own it. They have it. It's an exciting new series. Wait until you see what they've done with Shaggy. Shaggy is this smart. He's not smart. I don't want to say it. Shaggy is savvy. That's a better way of putting it. So Shaggy is this savvy guy who knows animals, but people envision him as being dumber than he is, and he looks like a Brooklyn hipster, which is just a weird, cool look. And and it's great. It is like Shaggy, I think, is the heart of Shaggy is one of the most interesting comics in this, one of the most interesting characters in this comic book. And I think it's, DeMatteis and Giffen's ability to put Shaggy at the forefront and make him really kind of crucial, I thought was, wow, there's really something different being done here. Cannot recommend this comic book highly enough. Really great new comic book from DC. And honestly, I will say that Marvel doesn't have anything like this book, right? They don't have an older property that they're re-envisioning in a new way that is beautifully drawn and wonderfully scripted and with a really solid concept. Also, I want to talk about Jim Lee. So Jim Lee is old school, but man, that dude can draw like nobody's business. He has this really crisp, detailed style. If you don't know who Jim Lee is, I guarantee you have seen his art if you've ever looked at even a few comic book covers. In the 80s and 90s, he dominated. He was just incredibly good. And he has affected literally hundreds, if not well over 1,000 different artists' style. Wonderfully talented. And I love that DC's saying, hey, giving a path for older artists to get in on the writing side. And I think this is the way to do it. Let's say, hey, do you have, you've served our industry for a long time. What are your ideas, And one of the things it reminds me of is people forget, right? Rob Liefeld, that guy, he is notoriously for drawing bad anatomy. Some people like his style, but he's been widely just mocked in the industry for how he draws muscles and bones and stuff that aren't there. To me, it's a comic book. You can have whatever style you want. I always thought he was talented. He invented Deadpool, right? So artists can come up with some great ideas too. I don't think artists can write really well, and so I think it's a mistake to have artists really write a lot of comic books. And this is the way to do it. Let them bring something to the table. Let them bring a concept to the table, and flesh that out with good writers. And DeMatteis and Giffen are fantastic writers, and this book is darn near flawless. I mean, it is just great, And I think it's it's at least $4. I was very fortunate. I got the cover. Jim Lee does the cover, but I also had it has one of those white blanks on it, so that actually you can take it and have another artist actually draw something on top of the comic, which I think is a great new comic book innovation. Cannot speak highly enough about this comic. It's really special. I think I'm looking forward to all the episodes of this. And also, what it really reminded me about too is I am ready for live action Scooby-Doo. Bring it on. I am just so excited about a movie, and I hope that this comic book gives the hype that is needed to move on to that. So go out and get it. It's fantastic. And I'm just also, so I recommend going and getting Scooby-Doo. And if you're not doing it, hey, everybody's got local, most people have local comic book shops pretty close. If you don't, if it's within 15, 20 miles, maybe do it once a month. But go out, grab a comic book, just pull one off the shelf. And I would encourage you to read the way I do. I go in and I buy stuff off the shelves all the time, and I don't always continue series. I have episode 1, episode 3, and episode 7, issue 7 of this comic. And that's okay. Like, to me, you jump in, you read some comics, you dig what's there. You don't have to be completist. So, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is a lot of people don't read comics because they think it's, it's difficult. But there's a lot of fun things about reading comics. Reading comics is super fun. But I will tell you right now, walking into your local comic shop, just perusing the shelves, maybe you get lucky and have a conversation with another comic nerd, and and they're your people. You can talk about in-depth topics, like last time. I think the last comic conversation I had was probably 2 weeks ago, and it was a debate between me and another dude talking about who is the best comic book archer. Is it Hawkeye or Green Arrow? And I had to explain to him why there's really no contest at all. Hawkeye is way better than Green Arrow. And so you can have those kind of conversations. So, definitely go out, check out your local comic shop, and while you're there, see if you can get Scooby-Doo Apocalypse. And if it's not on the shelves, guess what? I can guarantee you there's going to be some really fun number ones that you can jump right on. There's great stuff across the board. 3 pillars of comics right now: DC, Marvel, and Indie. And every week, one of those guys has a great new number one that you can just pick off the shelves, have fun with, and they're really great. So Scooby-Doo Apocalypse, go out and get it. It's fantastic.